Well, ideally, parent involvement begins well before the abortion becomes an issue. 4 years ago, the Alpine School District, Mark, of which you are the president, unanimously voted to require parental permission for students to participate in sex education classes. Why do you support this program? You're calling it an opt-in program.
Yeah, most districts have an opt-out. In fact, the way the state ed code reads, it's more of an opt-out situation, meaning a parent can opt out their child from participating. We went to opt-in for a couple of reasons. One, for the very reason that Patrick had suggested, and that is that the parent should have a right to play a major role in the education across the board of their child. With opt-out, you're never sure if that parent ever saw the notice that went out. Many times, especially in high schools, those notices go out with the child. Well, if the child wants to participate, that parent may never actually see the notice, therefore will not have the opportunity to opt out.
Is opt-in, however, taking parent involvement to the extreme?
I don't think the extreme. If you think extreme, or if by extreme you mean giving them the right to have the say in their youngster's life, sure. I mean, but they should. They're responsible. If that child does something wrong, it's the parent, not the school district, that's held most often civilly and from time to time even criminally responsible. And so the parent should have, and we should as a school district, do every single thing possible to make sure that that parent is informed and has the right to make the choice. Just to add one other thing. I believe, and Alban can speak to this, that in his initiative, there is the provision that you were concerned about, Patrick. I think that in his initiative, it does allow the child, if there is a concern about the family, in other words, it was a parent or a relative or somebody who is responsible and they can't talk, that they can in fact go to a judge through a counselor and then have that judge assign it.
We will pursue that, but I want to get into Marge Kleinsmith and what she does. Mark, does it come down to either or, abstinence programs or comprehensive sex education?
I prefer abstinence, and I prefer an opt-in situation. You are not sure under opt-out, which is the way most districts are, that the parent actually has an opportunity to opt their child out.
Don't parents have a right to
one second.
Know what the districts are teaching? Don't they have a responsibility?
Under opt-in, you know that they know, because the only way they send a letter back saying, put my child in, is because they've read it. Under opt-out, you have no way of knowing if they've actually seen your document or seen. You say you have
we sent things out in the mail, and I'm saying, why aren't the parents aware of what's being taught in the kids' schools if they're involved parents?
You said you have very low turnout at your courses where you show the materials to the parents. I think one of the reasons is the parents are not getting those materials.
Do they get mailed through the
This
school
is important
mail?
to note. Since we've put in opt-in, we have very few kids who are not participating. We know that our letters, our information is getting to our parents, and our parents, for whatever their reasons, and I fully stand behind that parent's right to make the decision, they opt their child in.
Okay,
we're
Mark,
not losing attendance.
I'm going to interrupt you because I want to involve Patrick in the discussion too. All right, let me turn to Mark on this. Mark, there have been programs that have said that the AIDS virus can be spread by sweat and tears, that condoms fail 31% of the time, that abortion can lead to suicide. And some of these programs are federally funded.
The bottom line is, if something happens with that child, it's not the school that will assume responsibility or the clinic. It's generally the parent. And since it's the parent 99 and 9/10% of the time that is going to have to assume responsibility when something happens with their child, they should have the right, the moral and ethical right to make the decision on what happens with their child. Once they're 18 years old or they're on their own, that's different. But when they're in that household, it is up to the parents, and we're a better society when we allow the parents to make the decisions for their children.
We only have a minute or so left. I want Mark, about 15 seconds.
Yeah, opt-out does not encourage parental involvement. Opt-in does, because the child is not involved unless the parents say yes. We need more parental involvement. I believe that the children will be making better decisions if there's better communication with the parents.
Okay, and finally, Marge?